Nathan, tell us about yourself. So I'd like to get to know my guests also, but not really interested in your resume, so to speak. So we know you've been
Mhm.
in this space long enough,
Yeah,
but you are an entrepreneur first and foremost, because you
yeah,
started your company, and that's a whole different ball game than, working somewhere. So, what was it that I want to know usually from my guests? What was it in their early lives
yeah,
that gave some signs that you are going to be an entrepreneur? So, do you remember as a
yeah.
kid?
I I remember I was in high school, and um, I was someone who I still am someone who gets very enthusiastically into my hobbies, goes very deep. I love understanding how things work and why, and so I love doing that. And I was doing this when I was young as well. But what it meant was I got really good at things for a couple years, probably on average, and then I'd get really good at something else. And so when my dad was thinking about what's Nathan's career going to be, he was that aspect of my personality, I think, was probably on his mind. And so he had me take a career test, like, oh, what career might you be interested in, and might take to in the future to help guide, where do you go to college, what major do you study, things like that. And so my memory of this is that I came out of that test thinking, one, I want to be a musician. Uh, didn't happen. I am musical. I play an instrument, but far from a professional musician. And two was, I think I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't like risk.
Entrepreneurship is all about risk.
Yeah, very surprising. I remember talking about that aspect of it with my dad at the time. So like, maybe entrepreneurship isn't for you. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm not really about taking on a bunch of risk on my life. I like knowing what's gonna be coming.
Why is it that you didn't like risk?
Why is it? I don't know if I have a reason for that. It seems something in my personality where I like understanding something deeply. That's very gratifying to me. And if I don't understand something deeply, I tend to not speak, not put myself out there. I think I wait until I think, well, I need to spend more time and try to understand this before I take a step out. So I don't know if there's a reason for that, or if it's just something that's part of my personality and part of my nature. But I think a lot of that speaks to how I became an entrepreneur. Because as if you're thinking about the timeline, I started this business 2 years ago, and I've been working at Amazon for a dozen years. So one of the things that tells me is I eliminated a lot of the risk that I might feel by really understanding um, the value that I was able to provide to customers, developing relationships with brands and with other people, with my co-founder, and also feeling like I understood the market enough to be confident leaving a larger company and moving to a small company. I felt like I understood the market to the point where I didn't think that the big companies were just going to eat up all the small companies in the Amazon agency space, despite a lot of mergers and acquisitions over the past few years. So when I think about it, I think that career test came to mind because I did feel like, well, in terms of the amount of risk I can eliminate with becoming an entrepreneur and starting a business and not having no guarantee of what's coming next, I felt like enough of it had been eliminated that it didn't worry me. I didn't feel like it was a massive risk. I was also at the point in my career where I was going to be looking for the next thing anyway. And so when you're thinking about risk, you often think about opportunity cost. And it's not just what's the likelihood that this course of action will fail, but compared to all the other courses of action and their likelihoods of failing. I felt like, it was about as risky as starting a new job that could have not gone well, and where I also had a lot of unknowns.
So you are, what you are saying is Amazon is the only area where you could exercise this entrepreneurship. You're not someone who would see an opportunity and go after it as an entrepreneur, like most entrepreneurs would do.
No, to me it's more the subject matter than the entrepreneurship that excites me.
I see.
And or more just, feeling confident in my understanding of the subject matter that says, okay, I can go and do this. Yeah, if a great business idea came to me in a field I was unfamiliar with, there's no chance I'd step on board, even if I trusted the people involved, if I had the money, if I don't understand the space and what's going on, probably not gonna take a step out there.
Well, this is definitely not the characteristic of entrepreneurs because they are risk takers by design.
Uh, yeah, and well, I think yeah, again, it comes down to how you think about risk too, where
Yeah, it's
I
true.
think
Yeah.
I think entrepreneurs, while they take on monetary risk or other forms of risk, they may be thinking more about, well, can I be happy working for somebody else? Like, will I regret later in life not having tried this? And to them, the risk,
Well,
those things might outweigh the financial risk
yeah,
striking out on their own. So I I think I think it's I think for me, the financial risk was the part that made me hesitant. And so when I felt like, well, that in this particular case, that's not a big deal, then that's what freed me up to take the step forward and become an entrepreneur. That's classically full of risk, where other people probably come to different conclusions at different points in the process.
yeah. You know, you are a very steady kind of person. So, you really ought to be regulating the stock market.
Regulating the stock market. Well, that's probably another area where I feel like I don't have too much understanding. So all my investments are in index funds.
Well, but I mean, assuming that you acquire the knowledge, you would be the perfect fit for
Yeah.
the SEC, like running the SEC or something like that, because you would not allow anything that is not sound and
Mm.
that makes sense. And as you know, from everything, I mean, I'm not a stock market guy either, but everything that we saw in the past, financial meltdown and everything, the
Mm.
kind of stuff that they pull, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the conversation can never there's never enough time
No.
for this kind of conversations. We love talking about it.